Welcome to Consortia, Accounting Business Advisors, How to Build a High-Performance Accounting Business. This is Session 4, Marketing and Selling Accounting Services. By way of introduction, this session introduces Consortia's marketing and selling accounting services processes. The session presents how we consistently generate prospective clients and clients. So as far as primary accounting business processes, as a brief reminder, we've talked about management, we've talked about research and development, and now we're going to talk about marketing and sales, how we generate clients and prospective clients. Now, once again, to remind you, the whole process begins with research and development, what products and services we're going to sell to the market we decide to serve, and then, of course, we're going to market to them and sell to them. And again, the reason why this is important is because our primary business process results. So as far as performing marketing, we obviously want to generate prospective clients. If we're not marketing, we won't do that on a consistent basis. At the same time, as far as sales, we want to generate clients on a consistent basis. And of course, if we're not selling, that's not going to happen. So again, reminding you, as far as accounting business problems, these 7 problems, which are the most common problems in any business, not to just mention accounting businesses, but the point being made here is that, again, if you're not generating prospective clients or prospects on a continuous basis, consistently, then we're having a problem. And as far as if we're not generating clients consistently, then we have a problem. And again, what that means is the problem is based on the fact that we're not marketing and we're not selling. And as we've talked about in the past, the reason for lack of new prospects and clients, as I've just stated, that most freelancers, sole proprietors, and local accounting companies, that is LLCs, don't perform marketing and sales. If you're not marketing, you're not generating prospective clients. If you're not selling, you're not consistently generating clients. It just comes down to that. So once again, we talked about this in R&D last week, but it all begins with this anyway. So let's go ahead and remind ourselves. So as far as beginning with the end in mind, the first thing we have to do is identify your target market. Then we have to research our target market. And then, of course, then we begin to improve and develop services and products for the target market. And number 4, we provide services and products that differentiate us from the competition. Now, as far as identifying your target market, a target market refers to a specific group of prospective clients or prospects. You direct your research and development efforts to these prospective clients. You also direct your marketing and selling efforts to these prospective clients. So once again, we did go over this last week in research and development. So obviously these things apply when we research and develop new products and services, but obviously this also applies to marketing and selling. So as far as marketing, the word marketing is synonymous with the word communicating. When marketing, you're communicating your message to your target market. So the question is, what do we communicate? You communicate to inform your target market that you provide cost-effective services and products that solve their problems. That's what it comes down to. And that's the easiest selling process. When somebody has a problem, you have a solution, it's easier to sell a solution to a problem. So again, let me introduce you to Consortia Accounting Business Advisors, because again, we're using ourselves as an example. We have identified the primary accounting business problems directly related to accounting primary business processes: competition, profitability, prospective clients, productivity, cash flow, and client retention. Consortia Accounting Business Advisors provides accounting business services and products that address each of these problems. Now, I mention that to you and I provide you our website just to give you an example. So everything we'll talk about, if you go back and look at our website, you'll begin to understand why we do what we do. Now, let me also recommend our sister organization, Consortia Small Business Accountants. Small businesses have the exact same problems than small and local accounting firms. But obviously, they're not accounting related. They're obviously related to small businesses for the specific markets that they serve. Consortia small business accountants provide small business services and products that help them increase their financial position, profit, cash flow, and equity. And once again, I provide you our website because, again, we're going to use Consortia Small Business Accountants as an example today as well. Because, again, you'll begin to visually see what it is we do and you begin to understand why it is what we do. Now, as far as professional services marketing, it's different than selling products. The core of professional services marketing is the service itself. Improve the service, and your marketing is easier, less expensive, and generates a greater return on investment. Therefore, focus on improving your services. And once again, I point you back to research and development. If you're constantly researching development, staying in tune with your target, solving their problems, then it makes it so much easier to sell the services you have to offer them. Now, let me introduce to what we call the golden rule of professional services marketing. The golden rule of professional services marketing is to focus on relationships. It's all about relationships, and in two forms, which we'll talk about. Build relationships of trust, competence, and cost effectiveness. Professional services marketing should focus on relationships and not on features and benefits. Now, what prospective clients want to know? So again, this is in the professional realm. Whether if you're offering bookkeeping services, payroll services, accounting analysis services, tax services, in this realm, and by the way, you could also say law services and any other profession. The point being made is that these are the four important things to keep in mind. Number one, from a prospective client's perspective or your target market's perspective, number one is trust. Can I trust you with my personal and private financial information? Two, competency. Can you do what you say you can do? Three, cost. Are your services worth the cost I incur? Most people don't mind paying for things if they feel like they're getting a return on their investment. So the idea is make sure they get a return on their investment. Make sure that what they're paying and what they're receiving is far greater than what they're paying. Number four, comparison. How do you compare to your competition? What distinguishes you? What makes you different? Why should I choose them over you? Now, let me introduce you to something I found very interesting years ago as I began to get started. To make a long story short, I had a really wonderful neighbor. He decided to start a nonprofit for a specific goal that he had, and he let me know about it as far as what he was doing. And he was aware that I loved to market, loved to sell, was successful at it. And he said, Dave, can you help me raise funds? And I said, well, I work in a professional environment, but I've never raised money for a nonprofit. So if you don't mind, let me do my homework and I'd be happy to help you as much as I can. So I literally went to a basic fundraising course, a one-day course. And they introduced this and it just blew my mind. Okay. It was things that we were already doing, but it quite didn't function the way that I thought it should. And this put it all together. So let me introduce it to you. So if you're fundraising, if you're a nonprofit organization and you're raising funds, these are the four steps they go through. And by the way, you can also think about political fundraising as well. In other words, any fundraising, this would apply to, and it certainly applies to professional services. So number one, identify. Identify prospective donors most likely and able to donate. So don't waste your time with people that aren't going to be able to provide you the funds you're looking for. If you're March of Dimes or primary care facilities and you're looking for a $10 or $50 donation, then obviously there's a lot of people that can do that. On the other hand, if you're fundraising to put a new wing on the University of Utah's Medical Center, they're looking for over $1 million donations. So obviously you're not going to waste your time trying to get $1 million donations from somebody who are not able to donate. Okay. So it's very important to take the time up front to identify who are the people I'm looking for. And again, we're talking about identifying your target market, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Number 2, cultivate. Cultivate relationships with prospective donors. Donors like to donate not just to causes that they believe in, but also the person that they're working with who's soliciting the donation. So it's very important to cultivate relationships. Number 3, then solicit. In other words, identify, cultivate relationships, and then ask for the donation. You just don't meet somebody in the golf course and say, oh, by the way, can I expect a donation for $1,000 for this course? Okay. You've got to take the time to cultivate before you solicit those donors or those donations from prospective donors. Now, by the way, let me give you a second here too and explain something to you. We're going to talk about networking here in a few minutes because everything we're going to talking about doesn't apply just to marketing and selling, but it also applies to that as well. And so as far as networking, that's a very, very important thing to be doing in a professional environment. But as you begin to talk about that, let me just say it because it applies here. And that is, for example, think about social media and think about especially networking social media like LinkedIn. What you're going to notice is that people who don't really know what they're doing, what they'll do is they'll join LinkedIn, turn right around and say, hey, I'm looking for a job. Can you guys help me? There's no relationship there. They haven't taken the time to cultivate a relationship. So nobody's going to help them. Okay. Now, on the other hand, if they join LinkedIn and began to network, meaning they began to cultivate relationships, they chimed in on certain discussions, they provided some helpful information, they asked questions, and then after they cultivate a relationship, then they say, oh, by the way, I'm looking for a job. And now that they have relationships and people like them, they're going to recommend jobs to them. Okay, so it applies to many things. But again, here we're talking about marketing and sales. But back to this. So number 4, stewardship. And this is so important. So once you've got that donation, express appreciation to those donors for their donations. Don't just take the $1 million or the $10 and just move on. Okay, come back and say, thank you. Thank you. Because of you, we're able to do X and Y. Okay, so keep this in mind now as we begin to talk about the rest of the things. And by the way, of course, the process is identify, then cultivate, then solicit, then practice stewardship. Now compare that now to professional services, marketing, and selling. It's the same thing. Number 1, identify your target market, which a nonprofit or a fundraiser would call identify. So a target market identifies prospective clients that are most likely to want and can pay for your services. Number 2, marketing, or what they would call cultivating. Cultivate a relationship with prospective clients. 3, selling, or what they call solicit. Ask for prospective clients' businesses. I see some people who aren't really good at selling, and they're really good at identifying. They're really good at cultivating, but they don't understand that you just don't sit back and wait for somebody to say, you know what, I want you to do my accounting. You've got to ask for it, okay? But again, after you cultivate a relationship. And number 4, client care, or what they would call stewardship. Now, this is also called customer service, but we call it client care, and you'll begin to see why as we talk about it. Express appreciation to clients for their business. Consider other services or products that may help them, and ask for referrals. And again, we'll talk about this later. So as far as professional services networking, so we don't spend a lot of time here because we're talking about marketing and selling to our prospective target market, okay? But everything we just talked about applies to professional services networking, okay? Now, networking obviously is that the goal is I'd like my network members to refer people to me, Okay. And so the first thing you do is you identify prospective network members most likely to refer leads. Okay. And by the way, in the old days, this is pretty much as far as professional services, and especially in the accounting realm, this is pretty much all they used to do. They didn't market, they didn't sell. All they did was develop a professional network. And from that network, that's how they grew and prospered. Okay. And that's not to say it doesn't work today, because it absolutely does. And that's why I take the time to talk about it. But on the other hand, okay, if we just rely on networking, unless you're really, really good, that's not going to take you where you want to go. Okay. And so we would suggest both. So again, when it comes to professional services networking, identify prospective network members. So if you're looking, like in our case, to work with small businesses, well, gee, who hangs out with small businesses? Who has relationships with small businesses? Bankers, for example, or other professionals that work with small businesses, like attorneys, so on and so forth. And so that's what you obviously take the time to do. So then, of course, you cultivate a relationship with your prospective network members. You take them to lunch. You send them tickets to go to the jazz. You come by and visit them, that kind of thing, okay? And so you cultivate a relationship with them. Number 3, solicit, ask for prospective network members' referrals. So again, don't just wine and dine them, that is, cultivate them. But when the time is right, once that's been done, say, oh, by the way, if you happen to come across a small business that could perhaps use our services, let us know. And by the way, you would have let them know specifically what you do. Okay. So they know how best to serve you, meaning, who exactly would fit. Now, one of the things that I love as we begin to go through here, that I want you to think about this, and we'll come back to this, but I want you to think about this. If I'm networking, I'm not going to take somebody out to lunch like a banker that works a small business. And I'm not going to take them to lunch and say, hey, I do bookkeeping, I do payroll, I do accounting, I do taxes. You see anybody that needs their bookkeeping done? See anybody that needs their payroll done? See anybody that needs their accounting done? See anybody that needs their taxes done? Send them to me. Okay. What you need to do is distinguish yourselves. And that's the reason why I gave you the links to our websites, okay? Because I want you to keep that in mind as you go back. And again, this will make more sense as we go through here, okay? All right. So again, make sure you take the time to build a professional services network. Takes a while, okay? It doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen if you contribute to it each week. Okay, so marketing. Marketing is the process of developing leads and converting those leads into prospects. It has nothing to do, in a sense, with generating clients. I'm a marketer. That's not my job. And that's what they should have in their mind. What is my job? My job is to develop leads and convert those leads into prospective clients, people who have an interest. So, selling or sales. Selling is the process of converting prospects into sales. So it's a tag team. Marketing brings prospects to the door, and selling goes to the door, grabs them by the hand, takes them through the selling process, and converts them into a client. So it's a tag team approach. They work together. That's why you often hear people say marketing and sales, because it's a team approach. So remember that. They're distinctive. So, client care. Customer service, or what we call client care, is the extra mile service you provide your clients. If I'm a prospect, I'm looking for services, I'm meeting with you, I'm meeting with others, okay, then the person who goes the extra mile is definitely going to have an advantage, okay? All right, marketing objective. Generate and convert leads into prospective clients. That's what I want to accomplish. That's what it's all about. The selling objective. I want to convert prospects into clients. And by the way, it's kind of funny because I know people who are great marketers. They can bring a lot of people to the door, but they could never bring them through the door. On the other hand, I know people that could never bring people to the door, but boy, once they come to the door, man, they know how to work people and develop relationships and bring them through the door. It's really two different mindsets, psyches, whatever you want to call it, okay? I've met people that can do both, but it's better to have those separated. Okay, so client care objective. I want to retain the clients I've worked so hard for. I want to increase the client revenue. That is, I want to upsell them or cross-sell them. Okay. And I want to obtain referrals. So that's what client care or customer service, that's what it's all about. You go to department stores where they have a whole customer service department. And on the one hand, you're like, oh, that's nice of them. They're able to have somebody here help me when I need assistance. And so why do they spend so much time and money in putting forth customer service? Is it because they just want to make sure you're kept okay? And well, of course, that's part of it. But in the end, it's all about selling more things to you, okay? And that's what it's all about. Now, again, you don't blame them, okay? That's fine. That's what they're supposed to do. Okay, so as far as upselling versus cross-selling, upselling and cross-selling are sales strategies aimed at increasing revenue, but they differ in their approach. Upselling involves convincing a client to purchase a more expensive, higher-end version of the service they initially intended to buy. So in our situation, it's like somebody comes to the door and says, I'm interested in bookkeeping. Well, we have no problem, selling them bookkeeping. But again, that's not what we're all about. And as we'll talk about, what we're all about is that we want to help you succeed. We don't want you to come and just do do your bookkeeping for you. We want you to succeed. And so what we do is we go the extra mile to help you increase your cash flow, increase your revenue, increase your equity, increase your financial condition, and increase your profit. That's what we want to do. And bookkeeping is just a small part of that. So the point I'm getting at is that if there's any way we could do your bookkeeping, your payroll, and your accounting, then we're able to help you because our accounting does an analysis that generates suggestions to improve and how you can increase your revenue, how you can decrease your expenses, how you're able to increase your profit, so on and so forth. That's what it's all about. Okay. All right. So cross-selling focuses on offering related or complementary services to enhance the initial purchase. So again, you come to us wanting bookkeeping, but in the end, we're going to do what we can to also do your payroll and your accounting so that we can really help you succeed. Not just to make more money. Yeah, it costs more money. Okay. But it's a great investment. So client conversion process. So again, they start as a lead. Then we begin to contact them. They turn into a prospect. And then our sales kicks in. And then we turn them into a client. That's the process over and over again with every single client. Marketing and sales is a numbers game. So it's about numbers. Target market. The larger your target market, the more leads you generate. So let me explain this to you. It's so funny to me because I get in, I don't mean to get in arguments, but I'll be talking to somebody and what product you use in your services? Well, we use QuickBooks Online. And they'll go, oh, well, I use Xero and Xero's a better product. And I say to them, look, it may be a better product. I don't know. I've never touched Xero. I know QuickBooks Online is a great product, but here's the point. Intuit has millions of users, whereas Xero has hundreds of thousands of users, at least in the United States. So from a marketing standpoint, I'm going to be working with QuickBooks Online, going after those millions as opposed to those hundreds of thousands. Now, yes, that means I have more competition. Well, that's the reason why you distinguish yourself from your competition. I make my competition look like, why bother? That's the whole idea. That's what we're all about. We want our clients, we want prospects to say, holy crap, now that I've seen you and I've seen the competition, why in the world would I even consider them? And that's what you have to do. I'm not trying to gloat. I'm just telling you that's what you got to do. And so that's what it's all about. So again, the larger your target market, the more leads you generate. Leads. The more leads you generate, the more contacts you generate. Contacts. The more contacts you generate, the more prospects you generate. Prospects. The more prospects you generate, the more clients you generate. And that's what it's all about. It is a numbers game. Marketing strategy. Number one, state the business you are in. That's your business statement. Number two, identify your target market. Three, develop your niche or your niche. That is, you can do it in one of three ways. You can have a niche by industry, by service, or by product. So for example, we have a niche in the sense that we use QuickBooks Online by product. And then of course, as far as the services we offer, and of course, as far as the industry we offer. Now, we prefer to stick with working with small businesses, and there are different industries. Now, to be honest with you, we pretty much work with basically any small business, although we do stay away from manufacturing. We don't touch them. We don't want to. It's too complicated, okay? So anyway, so keep those things in mind. Number four, position yourself in the market. Number five, differentiate yourself from your competition. Number six, establish and build your brand or image. So that's the strategy behind our marketing, accomplishing those six things. Marketing process. Review your business statement. Identify your target market. Generate leads. Contact your leads. And refer prospects to sales. That's the process. Business statement. I like things basic and simple, not complex. I mean, the old years ago when the big mission statement was going around, everybody's putting a mission statement up on the wall with a plaque, so on and so forth, and you walk into a bank and you'd see this very detailed, 8-font, paragraph to paragraph, our mission. Come on, let's not make things simple, make it basic. So ours is, we enable small businesses to increase their financial position, profit, cash flow, and equity. Now, that's for me. That's for my team, but it's also obviously for our clients. And that's what we're all about. Notice the word bookkeeping, the word payroll, it's not even in here, okay? That's the whole point. We're bringing people in because of this. And then, of course, we pick up that work because that's what we do. So again, instead of saying we do small business bookkeeping, payroll, accounting, and tax, well, so do a million others, and why is yours different than theirs? And then they rely on relationships as far as who they pick. Target market, small businesses throughout the United States, small businesses using QuickBooks Online ecosystem, small businesses with less than 50 employees, small businesses with between 100,000 and 5 million in revenues. Generate leads. Now, we live in a digital age. Years ago when we started, there was no such thing as digital marketing, and we're going to talk about that in here in a moment, but we're going to beginning to introduce it to you here. In today's world, you have to do this. You have to do this. All right, so as far as generating leads, how do we do it? First, if you're to start a brand new business, one of the first things you'll do is establish your Google Maps, okay? And then you may or may not do Google Ads. I'd strongly recommend it, but you got to have a big pocket, okay? At least full of money, okay? And it takes a while. It takes a good 6 months to get off the ground. It takes a good year to consistently start generating clients. So it works, and it's a great investment, and we put a lot of money into it, okay? But that's why, because it works. YouTube channel, YouTube ads, website. Now, again, I gave you our website links. You may want to look at accounting. We call it Consortia ABA, Accounting Business Advisors, or Consortia SBA, Small Business Accountants. Obviously, they're sister companies. All the administrative work is done by ABA in behalf of SBA. SBA is the one, of course, that we're talking about today. This is the example we're setting for you. So one of the things I want you to look at when you go to our websites is that, remember, we're talking about generating leads. So on our website, you'll notice there's a call us, okay? There's a have a question. There's a subscribe. There's a registration email. There's text us, okay? So we're giving all these different ways to communicate with us. You can text us, you can email us, you can click our subscribe. And by the way, what I'm talking about here is I'm not saying this is how you can communicate with us. I'm saying this is how we collect leads, okay? So every time somebody calls us, we obviously collect their phone number. Every time somebody fills out have a question, we collect their email. When somebody subscribes, we collect their email. When somebody registers for one of our free courses, then we collect their email. When somebody texts us, we obviously collect, again, their phone number or, a text. And by the way, the idea is however they contacted you, that's how you contacted them. So if somebody texts you, you assume you have their phone number, you don't call them, okay? You never call without permission. You'll be talking first. You'll text first. All right, search engine optimization, or SEO. What does this do? It improves website visibility in search engine results. I don't want to get too complicated, but that's what it's all about. The idea is you want to be listed first. And by the way, I'm kind of surprised how many people don't know this, but you probably do, so forgive me for taking the minute. But the point is that when you do a keyword search in Google and the search results pop up, a lot of people, some people, don't understand that the very first four are sponsors. People, or in other words, Google Ad, people have paid for that, because obviously the first 1, 2, or 3, or 4 are the ones that are going to get business. And then after that, they give 10 what's called organic searches. Now, those are the people you want to work with. And then it goes down and you see 4 more sponsors. And then after that goes to the second page. Well, if you're on the second page, then forget it. If you're in the bottom, forget it. Okay, people are going to get the top. Now, here's what's interesting. So once I learned that, we did everything we could to make sure that we're listed, organically 1, 2, or 3. And so thinking, I had the mindset, I'm not going to pay for Google Ads. I'm just going to do everything we can, SEO, get listed 1, 2, or 3, because that's where you get natural leads. But here's the point. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what we just talked about. And so they still, when they see the top 4, they'll choose the first 1 or 2. And so that just means they're the ones that paid the most money for the ads, okay? Whereas the people who earned it are going to be in the first 1, 2, or 3 organic searches, okay? They're the ones that deserve your business, quite frankly, okay? On the other hand, but that's not what people do. At least over half will choose the ads, the paid ads. And that kind of surprises me, but that's just the way it is. So you live with it. So then we learned, okay, we're just going to have to join the Google Ads band. And to be honest with you, we're absolutely great that we did. It's tremendous. But again, it takes an investment. Okay, and then as far as free recorded training and tips videos. So this is the primary thing we do to attract people to us. Now, if you were to go to Consortia SBA, Small Business Accountants, the website I showed you, you're going to see that we have 2 main free recorded webinar series. And one of them is how to build a high-performance small business. And we go through and we began to teach business owners about business. In fact, what you're attending here, that's the sister of it. What you're attending here is the Consortia Accounting Business Advisors, how to build a high-performance accounting business. So the way you look at it is that, in a sense, they're both the same. Like if you were to go attend the SBA, you're going to see we talk about a lot of the same things. But there we only talk about, from a general perspective, to working with small businesses. Whereas here, since we specialize in the accounting industry, we obviously talk about specifically what's applicable to accounting firms. And by the way, when I say accounting firms, I try to remind people, that would mean bookkeeping organizations, payroll organizations, accounting organizations, tax organizations, but we just use the word accounting because that pretty much captures all of that. Okay, so back to this. So that's the reason why we do that. So, for example, if you go back up to website, you'll find that a lot of the call us, have a question, subscribe, registration, text, initially most of that are the registrations. We have over 100,000 contacts, okay? And that's not bad, okay? And once you get there, then that's where you want to be because the work comes consistently, okay? But again, it takes a while to get there. But the idea is, and there's just so much to tell you here, that also feeds into client services, keeping them happy. But, and we do a lot of other training programs too, okay? But we just do that occasionally. We bring them back, bring them back, bring them back. We update them, so on and so forth. But that's a good way to do 2 things. Build your contact database, get your leads, and at the same time, you're able to sell to them without selling to them, And so we don't do our we don't do our videos and say, hey, by the way, this is why you should buy from us and this is what we sell. We don't ever talk about that. We may hint it, okay? But the point is we want to educate them. We want to give them information. For example, the popular ones on Consortia Small Business Accountants are, we do one that talks about measuring business performance. And we talk about the 4 financial statements in general, very basic, because of this is for small business people. And again, as you all know, most small business people are very, very good at the service or products they offer, okay? But they're not business people until they've been in business and survived over 5 years. Then they become business people, okay? And so I assume you know all of that. But anyway, this is the way it works. So let me move on. Okay, so again, as far as generating leads, like for example, you do a Google ad, drive people to your website. You want, in our case, you want to watch one of your videos. They can't watch our videos without registering. We make it simple: register, email, boom, that's it. Okay, we have our text, and again, I want you to look at our websites. The bottom right-hand corner, you'll see text us, and that's become almost, in fact, probably bigger than the others because of our Google ads. People come to our website, begin to, they come to our, to our website because our Google ad may be about our training, and that's why they come. But over time, they start coming and wanting questions about your services and stuff. And so that's the reason for the text us. And so anyway, video registration and lead. So this is just one example of how we use our videos. We do a Google ad, get the word out there. They come to our website, they register, and now we have a lead. That's all I'm trying to show. And we do that many, many different ways. Contact leads mainly come from text, emails, and phone numbers. Digital marketing. Digital marketing is promoting your business online using multiple digital channels. These channels make prospective clients aware of who you are and what you do. Digital channels. Your website is a channel. Your search engines like Google and Bing are channels. Your business listing, the map I was talking about, Google Business Profile, Bing Places for Business. Online videos, website and video platforms such as YouTube. So I'm not talking about what we do, okay? I'm talking about what they do. However, what we do internally, in other words, whatever we do both. We put it on our YouTube channel and we also put it on our website. And either way, we're going to benefit. And so we prefer they go to our website. So anything on our website is done on Vimeo, okay? Social media, Facebook, Instagram, paid ads, Google, Bing, Facebook. So these are all examples of digital channels, and we use most of those. Okay. So digital marketing is target marketing. It's the ultimate in target marketing, going directly after. Let me, a little wordy here, but let me explain this to you. Digital marketing enables you to communicate with the right person at the right time through the right channel. So it is target marketing. Marketing is a science, and the digital aspect of digital marketing allows you to get scientific and precise. You make a hypothesis, test your hypothesis, collect data, and you adjust, especially when you begin. The data makes digital marketing powerful. Practically every action taken online is tracked. You can use this data to make more accurate predictions about online users' behavior. Since marketing is the process of persuading someone to act, the more data you have, the more successful you will be at your persuasion. That's, in a nutshell, what digital marketing is. And it's, I resisted it. I'm older, and I resisted it for a while, and I finally realized we need to do it. And it's been a blessing. It's absolutely fantastic if you know what you're doing. Digital data, again, your website. So not just your website, but you have on your website Google Analytics 4, which is new about a year or two ago, which is a web analytics tool. In other words, how your website's doing. You analyze the success of your website. Search engines. Google Online Search Tools. And then I'm not talking about websites searching, I'm talking about the data. So Google Online Search Tool based on keywords and phrases. So that's the data you get. Online video, website Vimeo Analytics. So as I mentioned, we use Vimeo for our videos on our website. And so we want to see which ones are people watching, how many times do they watch it, do they go all the way through? There's a lot of information from Vimeo Analytics. video platforms such as YouTube. So when you have a YouTube channel, you can use YouTube Analytics to see, again, how well you're doing, okay? Who are watching. It's just amazing. Social media, Google Analytics, e-commerce, Stripe. So we used to use Shopify. Now we use Stripe. And what for people don't understand is that Stripe didn't even have an e-commerce tool because they were the e-commerce tool. Companies like Shopify would pay Stripe to use their tools to in a sense, be an e-commerce platform. And finally, the last few years, Stripe said, gee, we might as well join them, which they did. We much prefer Stripe over anything else, and we've used a lot, okay? But anyway, I'm not here to sell Stripe. Just wanted you to know. So e-commerce, Stripe, payments platform, Sigma Analytics. So Stripe gives you a lot. So it's data. I mean, here we are accountants. Here we are bookkeepers. We're all about analytics, okay? We're all about numbers, okay? So this is right in our wheelhouse. Web analytics measure, collect, analyze, and report web data to understand and optimize web usage. Web analytics is not just a process for measuring web traffic, but it's used for business and market research to assess and improve website effectiveness. The focus is on identifying key performance indicators based on your company and user goals, and using the data to determine the success of failure of these goals and drive strategy and improve the user's performance. So you just don't have a website, but you analyze how your website's doing. People who have been with us for a while, they'll say from time to time, notice you've been changing your website. We change our website every year. And I don't mean drastically. I don't mean the whole thing. I just mean we're tinkering with it all the time because we're analyzing this data and we're tinkering with it to get to the point to where we're getting as much out of it as we can. Refer prospects to sales. All sales texts, emails, and phone calls or appointments are directed to our contact center. And so here's our contact center, and it's broken into two. So on the one hand, if it's the ones I just talked about, if it's prospects or leads coming to sales, okay, then obviously we hand it off to our sales department. If it's customer service, in other words, they're existing clients and they need help and assistance, then they're handed off to client care, okay? And so we have those departments. We have a contact center with two departments within the contact center. Okay, so that's the presentation for today. And so I'm hoping you're understanding how marketing sales works, but more importantly, how powerful it is. And I couldn't go into all the detail of how you make things happen. I just wanted to emphasize where you find the best results. That is tools, so on and so forth. Okay, so we're now halfway over our 7 series, How to Build a High-Performance Accounting Business. And so next time we'll talk about production, increasing productivity. And we'll specifically get into, of course, bookkeeping, so on and so forth, as far as how you can produce it, how you can do it as efficiently as possible to become efficient. That's what it's all about, increasing productivity. Hey, thanks again for attending. Hope this has been worth your time. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.